Alright guys, welcome back to a brand new video. This is going to be a little bit different than the usual kind of videos. So I got a 2001 DS650 motor here with nothing in it. It's ready to be built. Got a new crankshaft here. Got a brand new transmission right here. Full bolt kit. And I'm going to do a step-by-step guide on how to build a DS650 motor from the ground up. So if you want to use this as a guide or a manual, I'll say all the torque specs. I have both books on paper, so I'm porting some stuff on it, and it's gonna be pretty dang fast. High compression, forged piston, all that good stuff. I'll also mention where to get parts like crankshafts, bearings, anything like that. So let's get into it. All right, once you've gotten your cases down to this point, which unfortunately I don't have a disassembly video because it's already disassembled when I got it, but once you get your cases down to this point, make sure that your main bearings and your ball bearings are all good in your cases. You can get new of all of them from Team Pammy out of Germany. Same with connecting rod bearings and all that kind of good stuff. So let's get right into it. Let's start with the reassembly. So first, I'm gonna throw the oil screen in. Make sure there's no debris in this thing because you don't want all that going on. It's shaped like a wedge, and the sharp side will go down. Okay? And then you're gonna stick your little plate here like this is what keeps it in. And there's two bolts that go on it. They require blue Loctite. Here's the page. They're torqued to 71 inch pounds, I guess. 8 newtons, okay? And then 243 Loctite is blue Loctite on those bolts, okay? All right, so let me get some blue Loctite. Just put a little bit of blue Loctite on them. That was more than a little bit. That was like a lot of bit, but yeah. Make sure to thread these in by hand because aluminum cases, you don't want to be cross-threading anything into these aluminum cases. Okay, let me get a 8mm socket here. Okay. I think I have a pretty good feel for this, so I'll just torque in my hand here. Okay. Okie dokie. That's good. Now next, I'm gonna need put my oil pumps together. Both my oil pumps are good, but if you want to check yours, here's a service limit right there. That's where you check them at right there. Okay, so these oil pumps run plastic gears. Not really too much of a fan of that, but I've never seen anybody have any problem with it, so I guess it's not too big of a deal. First thing you install is a little washer. It goes on each of them. Okay. Now you can see there's this little groove right here. That's for putting the pin in. So these have a little bit of play, up and down play in them, so you can pick it up just a little bit. And then you take your pins and you put it through said hole, like so. Okay. And then take your gear, you put that on top of it. These are pretty tight fits here. There, okay, that gear's on. Now I'll put the other gear on. Now these have these little clips that go on top of both of those. There's two little clips right here. I don't have small enough of a tool for this. Okay, there. All right, it's on. Now I'm just gonna make sure that, it's fully seated, because if it's not, might not be having too good of a time, If it pops off when you're ripping, that's not gonna be good. Okay, this one's on. Now I'm gonna make sure that's fully seated, because you don't want them things coming off. All right, now that both of these oil pump gears are on, I'm gonna flip the case around. And we're going to put some assembly lube in these bearings. So I got some Ultra Slick engine assembly lube here. I'm going to take it and I'm just going to stab it on each of these balls here. Like so. Okay. Same with this big bearing here. Okay. Now lastly, this balancer bearing. Make sure they're all spinning good, which they are. Perfect. All right, I'm gonna get the other case and do the same thing. Now, this bearing here is a sealed bearing, so we're gonna leave that one alone. So next, I guess we should probably put this crankshaft in. Okay, so now that I have the other case here, I'm gonna be installing the crankshaft and balancer gear. Got some assembly lube on this. There is no washer on the side of the gear. There is this big washer on this other side here. Okay, I put some assembly lube on the main bearing and on, you know, the balancer shaft bearing. So I put this in here like this. Get it down like so. And now, if you look here, there's two dots. Let me get a flash. You see those two? Why is it acting weird? There's two little lines right here, okay? Yeah, it's just too much light for the GoPro. You're gonna line this tooth up with this line. Okay. Now, on the crankshaft, you go over here. There's this little line right here. You're gonna line that with the other one. Okay. I'm going to put this in here. Make sure that's still good and lined up. Now there is a 1 millimeter shim on this side of the crankshaft. The other one's a little bit bigger than a millimeter. The 1 millimeter shim goes on the gear side. Now I'm going to try and line this up as I go down. Alright, for 70 pieces of wood. Got it. It's kind of hard to see, and the GoPro does not like the highlight for some reason. But right there, it's lined up. There's a little piece on that counterbalancer, and then there's a little notch on that crankshaft. There you go. See it real good right there. All right, it's all lined up. Everything spins smoothly, so it's all dialed. Luckily, now put the transmission in. This is luckily a whole lot easier. Gonna want to probably reposition these boards here. Yeah, I'll be back when I get these all assembled. If you look at your manual, get them online, get manuals online. And they'll show you how with all the shims and stuff in there. So it's gonna be kind of hard to record this, so I'm just gonna get her done. Okay, got the transmission all together. It was not hard at all. If you have a manual, even on online manual, you can get it done really easily. Usually you won't have your gears apart like I did, because mine were sitting in a box from 2013, all apart. Got them all together. I use some Lucas motorcycle oil as assembly lube. So take your shift drum right here. Okay, put some assembly lube on that right there. Okay, this is your neutral sensor right here, by the way, right here. So now there's assembly lube on that. Take this, you'll bend this. Gosh, kind of hard to see for you. This rod right here, it's on a spring. You bend that all the way back. Okay, bend that all the way back. And this little guy right here is also spring loaded. That's how you shift. That's how it keeps it in gear. There we go. Okay, there's neutral. All right, now that that's in, that's out of the way. I can now put my transmission in. All right, so now try to drop these in here like so. I got to swap hands, I think, because there's just no way it's gonna work. Mesh them up again. Okay, all meshed. Moving the crankshaft there so I can get a better angle. I'll attempt not to crush my fingers. There. Take my shift forks, and right here on the point where they actually touch, you're gonna put some assembly lube so it's not just dry in there. All right, so you have one oddly shaped shift fork here, like this, it's kind of off to the side. Then you have two, like so here. One kind of has these reinforcement bars, one does not. Now, both of these here dowels, we have to be facing the same direction. So, assembly lube on this other fork. Now, something very important about these products here, you need to use an online manual or paper manual, either one, but you really need that OEM manual. Okay, now this one will be facing like this, that flat side up. Okay, and then it'll fit into a little groove on the shift star here. Shift drum, sorry. The star's up on the bottom. See, they fit into those. Dude, this tripod is in my way. They fit into those little grooves like so. Now what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your pin, I'm gonna put some assembly lube on the pin. Let me do that real quick. It'll slip right down. I'll line up like so. And then they'll both line up. And the pin will go into a little hole in the crankcase. Okay. Now for the other side. Take your oddly shaped shift fork. It's a little like off to the side. Okay. And drop this down like so. Okay. Now it's in neutral. Both the forks are in. Dialed. Alright, dialed. So as you can see here, they both fit in there. I'll get you a better view in case you want to use this just kind of as a manual here. Just kind of my goal. Alright, there you go. And just so you know, right there where there's that little, on the shift star itself, where there's the teeth and the one tooth has like a little dip in it, like a U, that's neutral. And you set that right on that little spring-loaded thing here. So, lever, arm, whatever you want to call it. So, there. Alright. Looking pretty good, looking pretty good. So, next step will be, I guess, putting the other case on. So I gotta get my gasket here and yeah. Okay. Now, I guess, let me make the bottom of this a little bit sticky so I can stick this together. So it doesn't just move all over. Be kind of annoying. Oh, that's good. I'm gonna make sure I have plenty of assembly lube on the other main bearing. Or, yeah, I guess it will be a main bearing. The crankshaft. And then, is anything missing here? Nope, looks all good. Okay. I'm gonna drop this other case down on it. Like so. Make sure you guys are getting a good view here. It's not the best, I know, but like, it gets the job done. There, look at that. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I'm going to go ahead and get my new fresh bolt kit here. For now, actually, I'm just going to make sure this thing doesn't move. I don't want this gasket moving all over. I'm going to try and thread some of these here case screws in. I want to be able to put this upright. Put the rest in. These are the OEM ones. I'm going to be using the new ones when I actually go through and tighten them all. But for now, I'll use a couple of these. Okay. Make sure your transmission spins smoothly. And that's a problem. Why is it binding? Yep. What did I do wrong? Alright, she's dialed in now, boys. Transmission's good. And the old crankshaft's good too. What it actually turned out to be was that when I got this crankshaft, there was a shim on that gear already. It was a 1mm shim, alright? And, well, I kind of stacked another 1mm shim on top of it. So you can see where the problem lies there. So I gotta cut the rest of this gasket off. But, got her dialed in now, so I gotta put the rest of these bolts in, and I'll torque them down and probably start working on maybe the flywheel or maybe the clutch, or maybe even getting the old piston and cylinder on. We'll see. I'm going to be doing custom powder coating on the oil filter cap, on the stator side, the clutch side, the valve cover, thermostat cover, stuff like that. But the cases, the cylinder, and the head are all, I'm going to leave it stock. The cases, I don't really, there's this weird kind of brown going on, But when it's all together, you really can't see that. You really just see this, which is covered by the chain and the sprocket and stuff. Then this side, it's all that cover. So she's gonna be dialed, brother. She's gonna be real dialed. Also, I put a bunch of oil around that crankshaft, like a bunch, because I'm not risking this thing seizing. So like, there's like a little spot in there, like an oil squirter. I squirted a bunch of oil in there, so just standard oil. So she'll be dialed, brother. Okay, I probably just looked for a solid 20 minutes in both of my manuals, and it'll show them, but it does not tell you what to torque them to. It tells you for the clutch housing, for the stator side, all that, but it does not tell you these. Although it's like the exact same bolts, and I've never seen one that doesn't say 89 inch-pounds on it. So I just torqued them to 89 inch-pounds, the small torque wrench here, or 9 newtons. As they say for every other place that these kinds of bolts are used. So I assume that's what they expect you to do, because I'm telling you, I looked hard and I couldn't find anywhere where it's anything about it. So you got this little gear here. This little gear points on the inside. Let's stick this on here like so. That little inside gear is for your timing chain. Let me try and get this on here. Now, oh, come on, go on. Go grab a little mallet, little baby mallet. Little baby mallet. Okay, put the little baby mallet back. Alright, so this John here, alright, this thing is torqued to 133 foot-pounds. Alright, bud? Certified, yeared in, bud. So, that's me fun trying to make this thing a tip while I'm doing that, because it's probably going to want a tip. But, yeah, see how it goes. I should probably record it, because, it might not go so well. Okay, guys. It's all dialed in here. 133 foot-pounds. They call for some blue Loctite on top of all that, and there's this crush, or not crush washer, but a lock washer there. So, some Loctite on that. This is literally the gear that drives the entire quad, so it does make sense that it needs to be kind of tight. So, I should probably find a way of locking this crankshaft. Okay. Okay, here's 50 foot-pounds. Wow, this is going to be kind of hard to keep this motor still. Yeah. What was that? Oh! No, baby mallet! No! No! A casualty! No! What? It's actually... It's fine. It's just a little crooked now. Alright, so... Maybe I could take some round stock. Alright, you chilling? Why does this have to be so tight? Let's turn this down even lower. 25 foot-pounds, come on. 25. Here's 50. We're doubling it. Here's 75. Dang. $75. Come on. Click. It's 100. That's one tight bolt, guys. Or nut. Dang, I don't think I can get enough leverage on this. That's literally all my body weight. Dang, I don't know if I can get this thing to 130. Give her one more try, man. She's probably sitting somewhere around 90 right now. But I literally just put my whole body, I basically just propped myself up using the torque wrench, and nothing happened. All right, boys, 100 foot-pounds. Can I do it? Gosh, dang, dude, what do I do? This might be a two-person job. Nope. All right, it's staying at what it's at. It's got to be extremely close to 100. I can't get that tighter. I physically can't, not by myself. Okay, so I'm gonna get this idler gear on here. As you can see here, I had the time chain on. I didn't know how hard it'd be to get that time chain on once like the clutch and everything's on, so I figured I'd just mount it up right now. So the idler gear that goes and connects to this oil pump here, it's plastic. Gonna position it with the side that comes out towards the engine case, like so. All right, and then there's gonna be a washer, and there's a little snap ring for it. So I gotta find those real quick. I'm down to like just a few more bags left, a bunch of random stuff. So it takes a second to find this stuff. All right, the battery in the GoPro decided to die before it was even at 1%, whatever. It was at like 15, but whatever. So got the gear on here like so. There's a washer like this that goes on there. And then there's a snap ring, which looks like this. Now take one of these numbers here. This one seems a little messed up. It's kind of like tweaked. I'm gonna go find a new one real quick. Now, if you're worried about this gear being loose on the shaft, it's supposed to be loose on that shaft because it's the clutch that spins this gear, spins this. So don't have to worry about that. So get the snap ring on like so. You just want to make sure it's fully seated and that it's not going to want to pop off, because this is a very important gear. So it runs your oil pump, one of your oil pumps, and that's a little important. Just a little bit. And just quadruple checking, making sure she's all good to go. Now what we're gonna do, put the clutch on. But that gear has to go on first, so don't make the same mistake as I did there. Okay, so now that there's the O-ring and both of these, the fatter one is towards you and the skinnier one is towards the motor. Needle bearings, and I already have semi lube on both of those. We'll stick this on here, and don't be like hitting it pretty hard, because you need to be careful of it. Make sure you don't damage your oil pump gears. So if you spin the gears a little bit, make sure that everything's, dang, just bumped my camera. Make sure everything's going on good. There. Okay, now that's on. You have this fat washer with the teeth on it. Pretty thick washer here. So we'll slide that on like so. Okay, everything spins good. If you have your timing chain in like I do, you gotta be careful not to bind that. So if you're gonna spin the motor, make sure you're holding the chain, because you don't want that to go bound up in there. Okay, once this is all on here like so, the next step is to put the clutch hub on here. Okay, make sure there's no dirt in there or anything like that. All right, perfect. Now the next step is to put the nut and the washer that bends over on it. So you need to put the washer over here like so. And make sure everything's all fully seated. They say blue Loctite on this. Blue Loctite on this nut here. So I'm just gonna put a little drop right there. I'm gonna start throwing this on. Okay, I actually got the tool here. So what you gotta do, I think this is a Tusk. Highly recommend it. They work amazing. So you're gonna want to lock it on this clutch hub here. Just want to do it in a way that it can't just jump off if it feels like it. But you also don't want to do it so tight that you'll like do something to the clutch hub itself. Okay, now we're gonna torque it down. Okay, 103 foot-pounds on that one. remember this has the blue Loctite on it already. This is 25 foot-pounds first. Make sure you guys are getting a good view here. There's 25. Here's 75. Come on. Go on. Back move. That sure is a tight one with the Loctite on top of it. They did not want that thing coming off. Alright, here's 100. Alright, that's torqued. Now, what you gotta do is you gotta bend that washer over. You gotta bend that washer over one of the sides of that nut. Okay, now that I have that tab bent over, have Loctite on it, and it's torqued to 103 foot-pounds. Now the next step is to actually put the clutch plates in. So it does matter how you layer them. Let me get them. I have a Barnett Dirt Digger here, and I believe it's the extra plate. You're gonna want to soak these in oil before installing them. These have been soaking in their own oil for the past, I don't know, 12 years that they've sat. The DS is very strange. It actually starts with a steel, which is strange, but it's kind of how it is. This one, you get that in them big jobs. Okay, come on, get that all the way on. Then next, get a fiber out. Put the fiber on like so. Then a steel. And a fiber. Okay, the GoPro's almost dead. I have to make this fast. Okay, so the last friction drive plate, it's not placed in line with the rest of them. It's placed right here on these little shallow slots here. Just like that. The last one, only the last one is placed like that. Now the next step is your pressure plate. Pressure plate looks like this. There's a little ball bearing in that. You can make sure mine's clean. I'm gonna pour some assembly lube down this bearing here. Okay. Make sure it's clean. And then you slip that over there like so. Now your next step is you're gonna have bolts with springs on them. Which now I can grab. Now these are some of the easiestly stripped bolts in the engine, so you gotta be careful about them. Put them on like so. You can usually get the first couple threads by hand, but they're very easy to strip, so be careful. Okay, there, that one's starting on. Okay, get the rest of them, and then this GoPro's about to die. I'll tell you the torque specs when I get the next battery up here. But for now, throw them all in by hand first, and then use a ratchet and get them snug, and then you torque them to what I'll tell you torque them to in a second. 5%. See if I can get these all in time before the GoPro dies. Boom. Okay. This GoPro's gonna die, but there we go. The clutch is on, but not fully on yet, but it's on. That's how you assemble the clutch there, and I'll tell you the torque specs when I get my new battery. Okay, so put some assembly lube on these two poles here. Don't put the starter in like I did. I mean, you can if you want, but I just did that because I spent a long time fumbling around with this trying to figure it out, and I finally did. Okay, so how you're going to want to do this is, so you take this gear here with the dish in it, you put that all the way on like so. Okay, it's going like so, and these two are going to go on. And these two are going to go on. And this. And then this. There we go. Okay. Now the next step is big old flywheel. Now you got a little key here, a woodruff key. Move my crankshaft so that's all the way up. And I'm gonna wipe off the assembly lube on this shaft because you do not want to be spinning this thing. Okay, take my key, I'm gonna put it in the keyhole. Make sure it's fully in there. Cool. Now you're gonna take your flywheel here. It's a hefty one. This is your one-way bearing here. So you're gonna put it this way. Okay, so the key lines up. And you're gonna put this on here. Okay, the key might not have lined up. Nope, it did. You can see how it'll turn one way, but not the other way. That's how you want it. Now you got this big lock washer here. And then you got this nut. I'll be doing this tomorrow because I'm ready to go inside tonight. But that requires blue Loctite and requires being torqued. But for now, there you go. See, one way, not the other. Perfect. All right. Okay, this nut here requires 133 foot-pounds and blue Loctite. So did the same thing with the crankshaft again. I stuck a piece of round tack through it with a cloth over the small end so I didn't damage the bushing. Put some blue Loctite on this guy. A little more than that. Okay. Then you got a big lock washer. And then the nut. Come on. Okay. Get it snug with the impact. Okay. Then I'll go ahead and grab a torque wrench. Here's 100. Okay. All right, I've done like a lot of building off camera, but I'll tell you all about it. It wasn't complicated. I just did a bunch. Kind of a mess now, but anyway, so I got this piston in. The brownish ring goes on top, and the N that's stamped on it points up. The thickest ring is the next ring. The N on that points up, and then you have your oil restraining ring. So I did that, and then I powder coated both of these case halves here. I don't really like the blue on this cover, so I'm probably gonna sandblast that off and make it bronze like the rest of it here. So this is all good to go now. So pretty dialed. Looks way better in real life than it does on camera, but that's how she goes sometimes. So anyway, what I'm gonna do today is I'm gonna put the head on and probably finish this entire build. Now, what I messed up before was this slider here. There's a dowel under your clutch basket that this goes on. I had to take the whole clutch apart and everything to get that back off. So you gotta make sure to do that one first. And then to get this thing on here, I don't think I'll be taking any of the seals out, but I removed all the seals out just so I could powder coat it. This guy here has a little E-clip on the bottom of that to hold it in there and all that good stuff. When you put it on, the shaft that has the teeth off of the clutch, you're going to point that so the flat side is pointing towards the back of the motor. You'll slide this on, and this thing will just rotate as it goes on. And then for the water pump, you just got to move it so it lines up with the other gear, and that'll slide it right on. So all new gaskets, all that stuff, it's all dialed in. So today, hopefully, I can finish this thing up. So I have the fully gutted cylinder head here. There's nothing in it except for the plugs and the thermostat housing and stuff, but it's gutted internally. So we put some new valves in it. I have Shindy OEM spec valves here. Really good brand for OEM style valves. Really high quality, made in Japan. They're good valves, so highly recommend them. I've ran them before. No complaints, just like the stock ones. Okay, here's one of the intake valves right here. So I'm gonna be lapping all of these in. Okay, I have them all unboxed and in the head now, so I'm gonna start lapping these things in. So get my lapping compound. Start with this valve here. Okay, I got my coarse lapping compound here. Probably a few different ways of doing this, but then I'll just kind of put it around here on this valve seat. I try to get it pretty well dispersed. Okay. So once you have all the lapping compound in there, make sure not to touch that with the stem of the valve. And we'll put that in there like that. Okay, then you have these little like suction cup things here. A little bit harder when it's on the intake side because they're smaller valves. Anyway, I'll be doing that to all of the valves. I'll do coarse, and then I'll do the fine lapping compound. Once that's done, I'll turn the camera back on. Okay, got the head all done, all 4 valves in, brand new Kibble White valve seals, everything's good to go on here. The next step is be getting this head on the motor itself, and then put the cams on, make sure that you have the chain guide in here, obviously cam bridge, so I guess we should start doing that. I know the view kind of sucks, but this motor's getting kind of tall, so I kind of have the tripod sitting on a thing of flex tape right now. Anyway, let me put this head gasket on here. This is a Cometic head gasket. I have a Cometic base gasket on it too, so Cometic's a really good brand. Highly recommend them. Not as cheap as some of the other ones, but they'll hold, that's for sure. So, get this on like so. I have had this happen before. They're kind of wavy until you compress them. They're all gonna kind of want to bend up and stuff. So, all right, got both those dowels on there like so. Okay, the next step is to be putting the head on here. Okay, got the chain up with my hands. There, now it's sitting down. I'm just gonna take this little T-handle. Jeez, dude. This little T-handle. I'm gonna stick it through this chain. So that doesn't just slide out. Just drop the roll of tape. Okay. All right, there we go. It's actually starting to look like a motor again. So I just gonna stick that through there so that the chain wouldn't slide out. Now there's a chain guard that'll sit right here. Grab it. So there's these 2 little things that come out. It'll fall down here, and those 2 will rest right in there. So that's how that goes on there. And then you will have 4 head nuts. I go on these head studs here. Oh my gosh, that was close. You have 4 head nuts. I'll go on these head studs here. That was a close one. Like so. These are torqued to 44 foot-pounds. And there's 2 head bolts that go right there and there. So I'm gonna get all these nuts just finger tight here. And then start torquing them down. Okay, I got all the head nuts torqued to 44 foot-pounds to get leverage while this thing's on a desk. I stuck this round stock through the rear mount, so not too bad at all. So then the next step, there's gonna be 4 head bolts, I guess. One here, there's one here, there's one here, and then there's one over here. So, all right. Okay, I got everything on the head all done there. I'm starting to put the cams on here, and I got some assembly lube on the bottom of this cam bridge here. So before you put the cams in, you have to turn the crankshaft, and there's a big bolt down here. Dang dude, it's a 6. It's a pretty big one, and there's a key on the crankshaft, and you have to spin the crankshaft till you can line it up with that key. Once you see that key, you leave it right there in the center, or you can stick something through it to make sure it's still centered. Then you can put your cams on. Okay, got it all timed up. Tons of assembly lube all over the cams, which is what you want. Make sure everything still moves freely. So I got it all timed up. These 2 lines, there's gonna be 4 lines on the cams. The cam with the decompression lever will be on this side, and then they're gonna face away from each other like that. And then once they get tensioned, they'll move, and like they'll kind of be slanted, but as long as they're actually even. So when there's not tension on them, can get it just even like so. So that's how it is. But once you tension it, they'll immediately move, but they're still in sync, which is what matters. So all these up here are torqued to 89 inch-pounds, and I'll be putting this chain slider on right here. Mine's barely grooved, looks worse on camera than what it actually is. And I'll be putting that on. Requires blue Loctite, also torqued to 89 inch-pounds. All right guys, this is the final part to how to build a DS650 engine tutorial. I'm sorry, I kind of skipped at the end there. I threw the valve cover on and stuff. I kind of
I don't know. I'm sorry, guys. Oh, that's not oil or anything. I actually had it in snow a second ago. I'll prove to you how well it works and all that good stuff. Yeah, not much to say. I threw the valve cover on and didn't record that. Then didn't record an outro or anything, or putting it in the quad, or breaking it in. I was kind of just, I was excited, all right? You know, I really wanted to crank her up and just go for a solid rip. So that's kind of what I did. I'll hit a cold start now. It's like 25 degrees, so it's probably not going to want to start. Where's the choke? Bro, found it. My bad, guys, I should know. Come on. Gotta turn the fuel on, that helps. Now, getting carbon monoxide poisoning isn't fun, so. Let her warm up for a solid bit and then go for a rip. I'm not gonna like send it in the mud and all that. Look how clean and pristine this thing is right now. I detailed it, and yeah, basically that's all I'm saying. So I let her warm up, but if you take a gander out here, it's kind of a little muddy, so probably just stay on the road. I'll show you that it has all 500 gears. By 500, I mean 5. I'll push it out. It is definitely pretty stinking cold out here. You can see how she just glistens. The SC1 on it. Does wonders. The old hand warmer right here. Not quite warm enough to the fan on. Seat's still a little dirty. Because you never spray SC1 on your seat. That's like, that would be very bad if you did that. That'd be like, you're done, bud, because probably fly her off the back.